Hey everybody, this is Kevin Purcell for Theotek podcast, and I'm glad to see that you are joining us. If you are, thank you for coming and watching this. So whether it's after the fact or live, we've got our main crew, and we might get joined by LaRosa. He said he would try to pop in today sometime, but who knows? Anyway, we have there on screen, you can see right now, is Antoine. He's in an airport on his way out to do his CIA stuff that he does, wherever that is. Are you going to the Middle East trying to get rid of the Russians in Syria?
No, not at all. I'm actually on my way back home. Been out on the West Coast all week, so coming home.
All right. And then we've got our good friend Rick. He is from Accordance Bible Software and my old Kentucky home.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Great. How about you?
Good. And then we've got Wes there, a probably beleaguered Philadelphia fan this week, and was within spraying holy water distance of the Pope this past week, weren't you?
Yeah, it was rather interesting. It was a really interesting time.
Well, since this is Theotek and not, Pope Tech, we'll just kind of let that go for another day. You can go to his blog. I think, didn't you mention something about it on your blog this past week? I thought you did, or maybe I was reading it on Facebook.
You might have been reading on Facebook. I actually didn't deal with the Pope. I figured everybody was going to write on that, so I did something else.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I don't want to talk much about it either. Anyway, so Antoine was involved in kind of. Here's what we're going to do today, just so you know. We're going to let Antoine talk about a mobile ministry meeting that he was at, talking about missionaries and helping them get involved with tech. And then we're also going to, the big news of this week is that Google announced some new products, some actually what I think look like some really interesting things. And then a few of us have good old iOS stories. Wes has the iPhone 6s Plus. I tried to get it. I should have it. That's thanks to AT&T. I do not have it, and therefore I'm no longer an AT&T customer. But we'll get into that later. So Antoine, kick us off. What was this meeting all about, and why is it significant to us?
Sure. So 5 years ago, 13 organizations got together to figure out what mobile technology looks like for ministry organizations, and so that those 13 organizations are now 150 organizations that have met for 5 going on 6 years to help ministries, churches, parachurches, missions organizations, you name it, better understand the use of technology, specifically mobile and social media technology for ministry use. And so what's really been good is that my work with Mobile Ministry Magazine has been at the front of a lot of that conversation, and this meeting was a kind of closed door but public meeting between some of the decision makers, the movers, shakers, the organizations, 22 organizations actually, who drive that discussion about mobile technology and ministry. Most of the organizations represented this round were missions organizations, and the topic of conversation was how to better create content or components that, as a form or a partnership, better conveys the message that mobile technology is useful on the tool belt. And one of the really neat things that came out of this meeting was how much churches are not involved in that conversation and what can be done to add the voice of churches who may do individual mission events or denominational missionary events into that discussion, because that particular voice is very much missing right now in just the missional community at large, but specifically as it relates to technological endeavors. So 2 days of talking about that and seeing the most beautiful sunset I've seen in maybe a decade. I'm pretty excited to have gotten out here.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Air pollution makes for wonderful sunsets, doesn't it?
Not where I was.
Where were you?
I'm in Irvine, California. I actually went out to Laguna Beach, the site of many mob movies and Don Johnson like movies and houses and all that fun stuff, and I saw a very beautiful sunset. It was so beautiful, in fact, that I cried.
Look at
It
that.
was that beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. There was just a God, you're really showing me something beautiful moment. It was really that cool.
Cool. Now you were talking about how to get churches involved and denominations involved in this conversation. So what this always fascinates me, because when we're talking about churches and denominations, and we're always like, well, people just don't want to do that. We keep on trying to talk to the people who don't want to do things, and we're wondering, why doesn't this work? Because they don't want to do it. So what, if you guys were looking at it and you were kind of like the brain trust, why are not the churches and the denominations involved in this conversation at all?
There is an institutional failure with the church. Churches don't talk to seminaries. Seminaries don't want to talk to parachurch organizations. Parachurch organizations don't want to listen to the local church. And so because of that kind of cultural cycle, when a mission organization, which we kind of consider more parachurch, says, hey, listen, we have a package that'll help your team do missions better. And usually their packages are things like language articles or anthropological or sociological data, things like that. Many churches just go, whatever, we don't care, we don't want to listen to you, who the heck are you, and why aren't you in our church? And vice versa. Churches go, we want to get this content, and so they'll go to these organizations, and those organizations say, well, you're not in our denominational wheelhouse, or who's the important person in your organization that we need to talk to, because we don't know your pastor, or your missions pastor.
Right.
So you've got this institutional failure to communicate, and that's the breakdown. And so one of the questions that we feel that this round is, we were down the street and around the corner from Saddleback Church, and so we had a representative from that church here who's often been in this meeting, is how to better include the local church as part of the discussion for missio technology endeavors, because the body has to walk hand in hand.
So it's, I don't want to say institutional bias, but it's the desire to kind of preserve institutional forms that's just kind of making everybody talk past each other or around each other?
Possible discussions outside of this group. Those are the kind of the discussions. That's what those discussions kind of run down
Okay.
that road. This group was more missional, so we have SIM, SIL, Wycliffe, WEC, Frontiers. Many missions-focused organizations who their approach is, it's not the local church. It's to build a local church in a place where Jesus isn't heard about before, which seems to be contradictory to have a local church where you're at. And I don't get why it is, but they do. And so trying to bridge that discussion, and specifically so that you can turn on your phone and say, hey, I have the message from our pastor. Would you like for me to share it with you? I'm going to give you my SD card or Bluetooth it to you, or shoot you to a website, or shoot you to an app, and do that efficiently and effectively. That's really where that conversation is. Some of that group, they have that mentality of distribution enablement, but the institutional behavioral piece is a hindrance.
Did you have any denominational missions organizations there? Like
Denominational?
Yeah.
Not in this meeting. In the big consultation that was in April in the Netherlands, Southern Baptist Association was there. We had a few persons who were Assemblies of God, but not representing Assemblies of God, who were there. And we are tapping on the door. A few of us have some friends in Roman Catholic side of things. So the goal really is to have the denominational component of that discussion present, and not just assumed.
Now, one of the things that's been interesting for me is hearing people, cite statistics, which are always wonderful things, because there's the lies, the damn lies in statistics. What but you have folks pointing out, well, why are we concentrating so much on internet and all this when you have, what's the current estimate? It's like maybe a third of the people in the world are actually connected to the internet, and they want to know why it is that we're worried about that, and then it's 2/3 don't have this at all. So
well, it's not just internet. So like I'll use internet. So about a third of the world has internet. And so, but that third of the world that has internet those are usually connectors. Those are people that have the internet. They're connected to other people in other industries. So you reach that third, you get the other 2/3 eventually. You have about 2/3 of the world that has a mobile phone, whether that's a smartphone or feature phone.
Okay.
But about 2/3 of the world has a mobile phone. If you reach their mobile with content that feeds their soul, that does some aspect of spiritual transformation, then you get an opportunity to engage everybody else. And so that's really the focus, is how do you focus on the numbers that you know so that you can get the numbers that you don't know.
Would you kind of liken that to the first century strategy of Paul going to the cities? Because most people in the ancient world did not live in urban environments, right?
Correct.
So, but that's where all the connections were made. Okay, cool. Guys, that's the questions I got for him. What do you got?
No, I think you covered it. Let's. I appreciate you sharing with that. Sorry I had to jump out for a second on that. When the wife calls, you answer, right? But we do appreciate that, Antoine, and all your information on being able to support that mission work. Missions is my. I'm not a missionary, but I wish that I could play one on TV. Since our last podcast, we were out last week. That was largely my fault, and the reason for that, of course, was that I wanted to go get in a line at the Apple Store in Charlotte so that I could get an iPhone. I reserved one, and silly me, thought that meant that I actually would reserve getting an iPhone, not reserve a spot in a line, which is actually what turned out happening. Stood there in line for a couple hours before I could actually get in, and then the fine folks at AT&T decided to lock my account because I also have a DirecTV account. I combined the two together, and guess what happened? Because of that, Apple could not access my AT&T account. The AT&T folks there couldn't access it. They called into AT&T, was on phone hold in the store for an hour, still couldn't do it. And finally I just said, look, this isn't worth it anymore. So 3.5 hours later I left. Went home that night, tried to call, and after being on hold for an hour, I gave up. A couple days later, I said, I'm going to find out how much it would cost for me to get off of AT&T. So I called the AT&T folks, and of course they transferred you to the let's give them stuff so they'll stay line. And she kept saying, what would it take for you to stay here on AT&T? I said, it would take you sending me an iPhone in the mail tomorrow. Well, we can't do that. I said, well, that's fine. Just tell me how much it would cost to get off. And then she got snotty and mean with me. And that was ridiculous, in my opinion. So that sealed it. I decided to jump to T-Mobile, and I did. Interestingly, T-Mobile has a thing called Jump, and what that means is I can upgrade 3 times in 1 year. I have 5 lines on my phone with 4 people, and I carry 2. And that means in the next year I can get 18 different phones if I really want to.
All right.
Kevin, how does Jump work? Like, do you have to pay off the remaining balance on the phone that you have when you do it?
Here's what happens.
You got to pay half.
Pay off. You have to turn in your phone.
Right.
They take that credit and put it on your bill.
Okay.
So we turned in 5 phones. That means I've now got over $1,000 credit on my account, which it should be a lot higher than that. I would have sold them, except in addition to that, once you get your last bill from your other carrier, you bring it to them. They submit it to T-Mobile, and T-Mobile will send you in the mail a Visa card for the amount of each of those termination fees. Okay. And so I'll get a card that I can then use to pay off my AT&T bill.
Okay.
Well,
that.
Kevin, you didn't do Jump on Demand? You just did Jump, not Jump on Demand?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something called Jump. I don't know what the difference is.
Oh, because
when they say jump, you say.
Well, no, because there's 2 programs there. That's why I was asking. So you have the Jump program, which you just described, and Jump on Demand, where you don't get a credit, you don't get the credit in the Visa card, but they actually credit it to your account if you've paid 50% of the phone off already, so that you can just instantly jump, and you can do that up to 3 times a year, no harm, no foul.
Well, I can do that now. With the program I'm on, I can upgrade 3 times a year.
Yeah, it sounds
Okay,
like
so
that's
you
what
have
you're
on demand. So you're on Jump on Demand. You're not on regular Jump.
You know, I'm
cool.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
but
of doing
they are going to
something.
pay off my former termination, or the fees. That was the promise. If it doesn't work out that way, then I'll come back on here with another tirade and say, T-Mobile is worse than AT&T because at least AT&T treats you bad. They didn't lie to me about what they would give me.
Kevin, you didn't read Engadget yesterday, apparently, did you?
I never read Engadget. I don't like Engadget.
That's a shame, because T-Mobile and Experian just played boo-boo with 15 million records.
Oh, okay. I read that. I didn't read it on Engadget. I read about it, and fortunately, I wasn't a customer yet when all that took place, so I was okay.
I actually think I might be involved in that. So I'm a little
because of that, I probably won't. Probably will have a lot more security. So anyway, we were actually planning on talking about that later on, but.
Well, hey, Kevin, while we're on the subject,
Go ahead.
I'm thinking of doing something slightly different but similar. I've been wanting for a while now to leave Verizon and move to someone else. And I consider T-Mobile strongly because it seems to me that the T-Mobile has the cheapest plans. But I like Apple's new. I like their new payment plan. I'd much rather pay Apple and not be beholden to any of the carriers. And so the little scheme that I've worked out is getting a new phone from Apple, switching to T-Mobile, and then selling my old phone to Gazelle because they said they would give me $385 if they agree with me that my current iPhone 6 that's a 128 gigabyte is in pristine condition, which I think it is. But even if it's a little bit less than that, that would be more than enough to pay off of the early termination fee. And so I would want to pay it. My plan is to pay it myself so that I'm not under any kind of obligation to T-Mobile. And so, because my big concern with T-Mobile is the reception with some of the places we travel. And so, if I got into T-Mobile a month or two and it just wasn't working out, then I could switch to AT&T or Sprint or something else. Like our worst case scenario, go back to Verizon.
Yeah, Rick, I did the same thing because what Apple was charging for their payment plan, which comes with Apple Care, is exactly what I'm paying a month for my 6S plus the Jump plan. Yeah. So I could have done it. I just didn't want to have to explain to my wife why we're paying a separate Apple bill all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't do it. But yeah, I think that's fine too. Go ahead, LaRosa. How you doing, man?
Yeah, welcome, LaRosa. He just jumped on. LaRosa from Olive Tree Bible Software, and we're glad that you could join us this morning. It's what time? About 6 something where you're at?
Yeah, 6 something. I saw the 5 a.m. call. I was like, I'm not answering this one this early. I was still in the bed.
Well, we're glad you're here, brother. Go ahead, share with what you're doing.
I was going to tell Rick, it's like you even could just go ahead and sign up for something like T-Mobile because just about every carrier now is paying early termination fees. It would
I just don't want them to pay it. Yeah, I don't want them to pay it because I don't want to be then obligated to them.
But even with them, you're not obligated to anything. You're just signing up.
Well, I'd have to turn in my phone, and I'd have to get a phone through them. I'd much rather get the phone through Apple.
Well, if you have an old phone laying around, just give them that one.
Yeah, it's always a possibilty. Yeah, I don't.
That's fine. You can choose to do it either way you want. The way I'm doing it, I'm averaging getting about $500 per phone. Mm-hmm. And that includes an old iPhone, 5S. That one we're getting about $430 between the early termination fee and the credit that they put on our account. So, it's a pretty nice deal. Plus, now I don't have a cell phone bill until probably February.
What? Nice.
Because of all the credit I've got on my account.
Nice.
But Wes, you did end up getting an iPhone 6 Plus.
I did.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, I ended up, my wife and I paid off our phones, and I was like, I think I'm going to try to upgrade. I can't do Jump because I have to always give my old phone to my son. And I went to the Apple store just on a lark, figuring there's no possible way they'd have one. And I went to the store and said, I'm just looking for a iPhone 6s Plus 64 gig. You probably don't have any. She went, actually, I think we do. She had me stand in a line for 2 minutes. I was in and out of the store in probably 20 minutes total. So, and that was a mall Apple store. So I was in Cherry Hill Mall, Antoine. So great service, and I did get the 6S Plus. I hated it when I first took it out of the box. It doesn't, when you play with it in the store, you're like, oh, I really like this. And then you like take it out of the box, and you're like, holy smokes, this thing is huge, and your brain can't comprehend it. And I went through the whole setup process because I was going to give it a fair shake. I tried using it as my keynote remote as I was going over my sermon in the morning, and I'm like, I really think this is too big. And I threw it in my pocket. I'm thinking I'm going to take this back today and get a small, just the 6S. And took it over to church. And by the time I got done to church, I was like, you cannot pry this phone from my dead fingers. Like this is, like I just something switched. Like I got used to it, and I was like, yeah. And I think what it was is someone sent me a picture, and I opened it up, and I went, whoa. And like that was the moment that it just totally clicked for me. And then all Sunday afternoon I was talking with you guys on Slack, and was doing some research, and yesterday I wrote my blog post and posted it just from here. And I really have fallen in love with it. What surprised me of the whole thing, Kevin, was when the announcement came out for Deep Touch on the phone. I remember saying, I think I'll just be fine with the 6 Plus. I won't get a 6S Plus because Deep Touch does not impress me, and I don't think it's all that important, and that seems gimmicky. Within 24 hours of having this, I was working on my iPad, and I'm trying to deep press to activate things, and my brain is going, why isn't this working? And at that point, I'm going, yeah, they really just added a whole new dimension to the touch interface, and like literally, it was equivalent to swiping on your MacBook screen or your computer screen. That's what it was, and it happened in literally under 24 hours. I was already trying to deep press the iPad screen. I'm going, wow, that's impressive. So I'm really impressed with it. It is the best phone I've had. I liked my 5S. I never was really in love with it. The last iPhone I really loved was my 3GS. I thought everything else was just a capable phone, and my iPad really became my go-to device. I'm now carrying this around as my go-to device, and my iPad is like, yeah, I pretty much can leave that in my bag for a while. So it's pretty cool.
And remind us which phone you upgraded from.
I had a 5S.
Okay.
So, yep, which is now my son's. So he's got my 5S.
So when you say Deep Touch, explain that more for those who may know.
Force Touch is that?
Yeah, Force Touch. They call it a deep press. So it's
okay.
But it's called Force Touch. It's what it pioneered on the Apple Watch, and I tried demos of it on the Apple Watch. I'm like, yeah, it's cute, but
I hear it works better on the phone than on the
watch. It really does. But it's the idea of the phone. You can press, and it has a pressure sensitivity to it, so it can detect when you're pressing things on. So on the 6S and the 6S Plus, you can do a deep press, and you can pop up a preview of an email to like scan through it to see if you want to read it right then. And if you press a little harder, then it opens up entirely. And when you describe it, it's like, yeah, I don't understand how useful that would be. And then you use it, and you're like, wow, I really like this. It's really well designed. The cool thing is iOS 9 has the ability to turn the default keyboard into a trackpad, and on non-pressure sensitive screens it's a 2-finger swipe, which works okay. But on my iPhone 6s Plus, I do a deep press for it, and it works amazing. And I really think it's a fantastic feature. They knocked it out of the park with that.
I do that trackpad thing with my thumbs on my Mini.
Yeah.
And because I'm usually holding my Mini,
yep.
I'm two-thumbing it. So 2 thumbs get the cursor to move around.
Yep.
There is a bug, though.
What's that?
I think Apple knows it. There's a bug in the text boxes. The text box window. It doesn't always move with the cursor.
Really? I haven't come across it yet.
I keep using it and keep finding different apps in which is broken. So I'm guessing it's app related.
It probably is, because a lot of the apps are releasing iOS 9 compatible updates. So that's probably it.
Yeah. But it's a good feature. I enjoy the feature. I would enjoy that feature on my Mini for sure.
Yeah. And Kevin,
what do you think of the the camera on it.
You know, Rick asked me that, and I kind of told it's the least used feature that I use on my phone
Because you're a self-admitted camera snob, right?
because I am a camera snob, and I got the DSLR, and that's just what I want to do. And because if you watch like my Flickr feed or even my vacation photos, I don't take snapshots. Like I'm not shooting pictures of my kids, and I'm like setting up like shots of stuff. So I'm a snob. Having said that, my boss showed me just on his 6S a video he took, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, well, wait a minute. And I had completely forgotten that the 6 Plus series has optical image stabilization. So my brain's like, no, wait a minute. So I started.
Ladies and gentlemen, this flight is full, so.
Hey, the flight's full. So I started shooting like little test videos on it, and I'm doing pans, and I'm going up and down and light, and the thing looks like I have like a Steadicam on it. It was bizarre. So I think for like. And then I compared it with video that I took with my DSLR, and I'm like, well, that sucks. And it's neat because the video really picks up some depth of field, not as much as the lenses on my my Nikon, but the audio is actually really good, and the image stabilization is really good. So to me, it's really kind of fascinating. I'll have to see what I use. If you look at my blog for today, painfullyhopeful.me, the featured image up at the top of my blog post was actually taken with my 6S Plus.
What resolution video are you using?
Well, I'm just doing 1080p because that's what I want to have everything the same resolution. I would love it if I could get a 24 frames per second feature on this, and I'm pretty sure there's a camera app I could download to do it because I just love the way that looks. Again, I'm a snob, so you really shouldn't ask me that question. But even the typical stuff is really, really nice. So this for a video camera is pretty amazing. I was absolutely impressed.
Here?
Yeah, that picture right there.
Oh,
that was edited. I took it. I edited it with the onboard editing tools. It's just in the Photos app, and then I brought it into Pixelmator on the 6S Plus, and I did some final editing on the tone curve and did the crop to fit the dimensions for my blog posts featured images, and it's really nice.
Anything else that stands out for you?
Remind us which one you got. Did you get the 64, the 128, or what?
I got a 64. I really can't afford a 128. I can barely afford the 64. But again, that changes my mentality. My phone was always just a pick up, go, and don't do anything on it because I had a 16, and you can't really use it. My iPad is a 32, and it's starting to have some issues because I'm getting filled up. Although I'm hoping that iOS 9 slice feature will save me some space coming up. But this is 64 gigs, and I'm back at that space where I don't have to think. I just do it.
How about the speed?
Oh, it's insane. Like it's utterly insane. It's really, 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 really fast.
Okay.
Thank you for showing the Touch ID on there. The Touch ID on my 5S, I would unlock the phone with the home button, and then I would have to go and touch again to unlock it. I don't know what they did with the Touch ID on this series of phone, but if I just tap it, it just reads it automatically and it unlocks. So it's actually kind of annoying because there's times where I want to just open the phone to check the time and look on the lock screen, and it unlocks and goes to my springboard.
You have to train yourself to start using the button, the power button.
I really do, yeah.
That's something that the Note 5, I've got the Note 5, and the Touch ID on it is insanely fast. It's not called Touch ID, it's just a fingerprint reader,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just really fast, and I like that. Call quality, no one uses their phone as a phone anymore, but does it sound good?
Yeah, it sounds really good. I used to have problems with the proximity sensor on my iPhone 5S to where however I hold the phone, it would like activate the touchscreen, and I'd be like all of a sudden on speaker, or it would go to mute, and like for random reasons. However, I'm holding this phone, the larger phone, I haven't had that issue yet, and the quality is really nice. Even I was telling you, Kevin, I was on a Wi-Fi call at a hospital emergency room the other day, because T-Mobile wouldn't penetrate the hospital basement. And even on Wi-Fi in a public access through a VPN, because I was VPN back to my house, the call quality was amazing.
Talk about this iPhone upgrade program, Rick. You were saying that you're wanting to get involved in that. I can't remember if we've explained what that is and how it works.
Well, basically, in the past, you've either been on a 2-year contract with the carrier, or now, the carriers are saying, well, we don't do contracts, but still, if you get the phone through them, you either have to buy it outright, like you've always been able to do, or you've had to make monthly payments to them. And so now there's another option that you can, instead of making the monthly payments to your carrier, you can do that to Apple, through Apple. It's with a bank, but it's through Apple, and you go into the store, and you need a credit card, because they're going to swipe the credit card and run a credit check on you. And assuming that your credit check comes out all right, you can make monthly payments through them. And the advantage of that, and the reason this is so attractive to me, is that you're not then obligated to a carrier. You can just pay for your data plan to any carrier you want to. You can switch between carriers at will, and the phone still is in your hands. And you can with Apple will allow you to get the next iPhone in a year, assuming that you've made 12 months payments, or you can but you turn it in, or you can just pay for that for 2 years, kind of like what we've done in the past, and then the phone is yours. Mm-hmm. So to me, there's a lot of advantages of it, and that's what I'd like to do, and do that and switch carriers and sell my old phone through Gazelle to pay my early termination fees with Verizon.
And Rick, the interesting thing that people are reporting is that if you do that through Apple, the phone's unlocked from the get-go.
Well, they technically all are now. I'm pretty sure that they're all unlocked now. They have been for a couple of years, but yeah, it is an unlocked phone, yes.
Yeah.
I've noticed, I was looking at this before I actually ordered my 6S Plus yesterday from T-Mobile. I've been looking at this every day, and noticed that if I try to go to my Charlotte Northlake store,
oh wow,
iPhone 6S is the only thing available.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the South Park. Which one are you closer to, Antoine, North Park or South Park?
South Park.
Yeah. See, it's still the only thing available. So you're having, and T-Mobile said that they're having trouble. They have fewer 6 Pluses or 6S Plus than they do 6S, and so if you're interested in the 6S, you're probably going to be able to get one faster and quicker. I heard a tip. They said call your local store first thing in the morning, the very minute it opens up, and tell them who you are and which one you want, and ask if they have it. And if they do, say I'll be there in 15 minutes or 30 minutes, or for me 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Come and get it. Anything more on that?
Well, hey, which colors did you guys get?
Silver. Slate, whatever they call it, black.
Okay.
I don't know. Technically, is this gray?
It's gray.
Okay.
If you didn't get rose gold, then it doesn't count. If you didn't get
I really don't care.
None of you were brave enough to get rose gold. I'm saddened.
So nobody got the La Rosa edition?
On MacBreak Weekly on the Twit Network, they were calling it Bros Gold.
Yes, if a man buys it, it's Bros Gold.
Yeah.
You're a sensitive man. That's what it is.
I think
sharing
that
your
Rose Gold is as ugly a phone as I've ever seen.
What'd you say?
The Rose Gold is as ugly a phone as I've ever seen.
Well, that just makes me want to get it, Kevin.
I totally disagree. Actually,
that's the ugliest thing I've seen any of a color of a phone.
Yeah, it looks like
it
looks
good.
like
It looks
white
really good.
though. It's really nice. I mean, it really does.
Like a brand new penny, which is no longer made of copper.
If you gave it to me, I'd make certain that I found a case that covered up every single millimeter.
That's a little harsh.
Well, and that really doesn't matter, because we put them all in cases anyway. You know, I showed it to my wife, and she said, "I don't care what color the phone is, because I'm going to put it in a case."
Yeah.
Okay, so anecdotal evidence right now. I'm here in the airport. There are 12 iPhones near me, and 6 of them don't have a case.
Oh wow!
Really?
More people are going caseless. Yeah. La Rosa, are you planning on getting one?
I'm not getting an iPhone, but I'm very tempted. I might actually get one this weekend, an iPad Mini 4.
Mm.
Okay. Anything else on that, guys? Anybody else want to pipe in on the iPhone?
Now, Kev, I know you want to switch to the Google stuff, but LaRosa's got news from Olive Tree. They are on the move, right?
Go for it.
Yes, we are technically in the process of moving.
Where are you moving?
Everyone today is either forced to take a day off or work remotely, which is what I'm doing. I'm working from home today, while all of our stuff gets moved to the new office. So we will be in our new office come Monday morning.
Is it just locally, a local move to a new office?
Yes, a local move. We're moving to a downtown location.
You're in Spokane, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that the updates to your software will come up that much faster? I'm kidding about that. I'm teasing.
But the nice thing about the office, though, is it's going to be about twice as big as our previous office was, so that's going to be really nice.
So they'll actually be slower because you'll have to walk further to talk to other people in your... No, I'm kidding.
Well, you're just being harsh today.
I love Olive Tree. That's and I can't wait to get my 128 gigabyte iPhone so that I can download every single book I own.
There you go.
And not have to worry about it.
LaRosa, you guys teased an update on Google Plus the other day, and it was really mean because you didn't have a screenshot with it. When is it coming out, and what can we expect, please?
At this point, it's looking like sometime in the middle of this month.
All right.
Is there any news that you'd like to share about?
He's not giving us anything else.
The update?
Well, we're hoping to submit to Apple this coming week. The plan was to do it on Thursday, or yesterday or Wednesday, but things with the app just went crazy, and trying to submit to Apple wasn't coming together. Apple was being a pain in the butt. So we're hoping to get it submitted sometime within this coming week, and then after that, it's really in Apple's hands. But as soon as it's approved, we're going to try to get it out the door pretty quickly.
How fast are you seeing submissions going live now, on average?
I don't really know, especially with iOS 9 just coming out. Things might be a little bit slower because everybody's updating their app.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully it won't take us too long.
Because I've heard that they're often getting it down to a week to 10 days now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but we also had an app like a few weeks ago that took almost 3-4 weeks to get approved for whatever reason. So
must have had something that they flagged and needed to investigate it or something.
At least
said it was on vacation.
At least it's not as bad as the initial Olive Tree app. We were all waiting for it. We were all waiting for the first real Bible software app on the iPad or iPhone, and it took weeks and weeks after. I don't think you were with the company at the time, but Olive Tree had submitted that, and it was just taking weeks, and there were a bunch of us petitioning Apple to release the app.
I remember that.
So at least it's not that bad.
How about that?
I beta tested that.
Well, let's jump back to Apple just real quick. OS 10 El Capitan. Rick, I know you've been using it for a while like I have. I'm probably not the best person to talk about what's new in it because to me everything feels old. But so Rick, what are some of the new features you're most excited about? Or maybe
I don't even remember.
Okay.
I don't even remember what's new. I've been using it since early to midsummer. I don't know. It does seem very stable.
Better answer that since you're really new.
I was going to say it does seem very stable. It's slightly faster. I think it's really, I'm using this low-end MacBook that came out, here in 2015, and everything just flies on it. So I think they've really fine-tuned it to their current hardware. But Wes may be able to. He may be more familiar with the new things than you and I are.
I'm getting a whole lot of chance to speak today.
Go for it, Wes. Tell us what do you think? What's the cool or LaRosa? Maybe you can pipe in.
Yeah.
But Wes, let's start.
It really is faster. I mean, that's one thing that I noticed instantly. And I'm on a SSD MacBook Pro, so Yosemite was really fast. It's not a huge change in use. I kind of am jokingly referring to this as Snow Yosemite, because that really is what it is. It's an iteration on the Yosemite style OS. But I love what they did with mission control. It's really fast. I don't ever use it, but Launchpad is a lot quicker than it used to be. Finder is pretty cool. The mail is finally fast. Like I have always just had a love-hate relationship with the Apple Mail client. I've loved to hate it, and this is the first time where I've actually liked it as a mail client. I like the idea in full screen you can have different tabs to compose different messages or hide a message that you're currently using. So there's a lot of stuff that I like about it, but it is iterative. It's not a totally new operating system. It's an iteration on Yosemite, but it's a really good one.
I don't know I can't remember what they call it. The split view and the snapping. I can't get used to how it works because it works, in my opinion, it works terribly.
Yeah, it's very awkward. I don't like it.
It's very strange. That's one thing I'm waiting for them to improve.
I think the utility Better Snap tool is still a much better solution. It works so much better.
Yeah, I'm still having issues with that on my Mac.
The Better Snap tool is one that I think I know I use based on Rick's thing, and you can see how you snap to the side.
Yeah.
This is one thing you have to admit Microsoft got right.
Oh yeah.
Their feature works really simply and easily to snap things up.
Although I don't like their implementation of it in Windows 10, that it makes you truly split the screen, not just put the app over to one side, which is what Better Snap tool is doing there.
I don't understand what you mean.
It puts everything to full screen, Kev.
No.
You drag to the top.
No, I'm talking about so like the split view in on the Mac works with the different what do you call them, the desktop spaces or whatever.
Right.
It really does the same thing on Windows 10 from what I've observed. Used to it would just take that application and put it to one side or the other, but now it's actually creating a separate workspace over here and a separate workspace over there, and I don't like that implementation of it any more than on Windows any more than I like it on the Mac. Better Snap tool or the old way of doing it in, and if you go back to Windows 8, I'm not talking about the modern UI apps. I'm talking about the way it handled desktop apps. Maybe that will clarify, or the way Windows 7 did it. And because that's what Better Snap tool is copying. It's copying the Windows 7 implementation, and I think that's a better way to do it. But that's my preference. Other people.
Yeah, I'm not on a Windows machine right now, so I can't test what you're talking about. But I don't remember it being that much different than Better Snap tool.
They changed it pretty significantly in Windows.
I haven't noticed it. It works the same way that I've.
It creates a separate workspace, and you can swap different programs in and out of those. But it's still there's two different. I don't know how to say it. There's two different realms right there.
I don't think that's standard. Something's weird going on your system.
No, I don't think so.
No, it does it by default, where if you try to move a window, it'll try to make you put something else on the other side.
Yes.
You don't really change that after it's opened.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
If you just click in the window that you moved to the side, then it doesn't put anything on that other side.
Yes, it does. It'll force you to.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It makes you do that.
Yep.
Okay, I've got some utility I forgot I installed that changes it or something. Because mine it doesn't do that. But that's
I just tried it. I had Word open and it tried to pick one of my other open apps to open on the other side.
Okay. Looking at this list, I'm on apple.com's OS 10/what's new mission control, which I never used. Do you guys use it?
I use it all the time. I love it.
Okay, and it's hard for me to show it on screen here since I've only got one thing open. See if I can maybe. Here we go. That you can see better what it does, and you just click one. So that's nice. But that's here's one of the things I love. Notice how your cursor gets big.
I do like that.
Because I often find myself, where's my cursor? Because I'm old and have bad eyes. Spotlight search, I just don't use this to its fullest. I sort of still use it the way I did in the old one. So somebody who uses it a lot, what's new and great in Spotlight search?
I have so many of those features turned off because I don't want Spotlight tracking me. To me, I use it like you. I use it like the old one.
And I use Spotlight as a launcher.
That's how, yeah, that's all I use it for. That and a calculator.
Because it's supposed to search like everything. For example, notice I just searched for Calvinism, and I've got some of Word documents that have that, some mail messages, and then a Wikipedia article. There's a definition from the dictionary, PDF documents, developer. Okay. Oh, that's a book list. Okay, that's why.
I think that's very helpful. I haven't really used it to that extent yet, but I think it's really helpful.
I have the I actually have the web stuff turned off, like I said, but I do use it for a file search. One of the things that I use for my searching my hard drive, though, is I just picked up in a bundle Find Any File, and that's like search your hard drive on steroids. It's pretty amazing.
Okay. I'm going to have to look into that and use it more because I find myself.
You might want to show the system preferences for Spotlight, and it shows all the different kinds of things that you can search for.
All right. I hate their organization.
Top right. Yeah.
I can never find stuff in here.
It's amazing how the icons just don't.
I wish they just made an alphabetical list.
Yeah. It's one thing I don't like about OS X.
Can you arrange it that way?
No, you can't.
Okay. Anyway, so here's the stuff that you can change. Like let's say I never want to show spreadsheets, but I never want music, or can't you change these orders too? I think. I thought you could.
I don't know.
And then privacy, you can like I don't want to ever see certain things. Like for example, you saw some of my email addresses popped up that I don't remember whose they were. So, but maybe if you don't want that showing up or something, I don't know.
Yep.
All right, Mail. I never use Apple Mail. Does anybody use Apple Mail on a regular basis?
Yeah, I use it. This is the first version of Apple Mail I actually have enjoyed.
So tell me what's new other than I know you can annotate email.
Yeah, to me it's first off it's finally fast. Like Apple Mail for me was always like the sluggish beast. There just wasn't a better option. But like I said, when I was given an overview, is you can when you have it full screen, which is how I tend to run most of my apps, you can now hide a message that you're composing and go do something else in Mail, that's kind of nice. And also when the compose window, when it pops up, you can open up tabs and compose different messages in different tabs, which I think is really nice.
That's what we're using before.
What's that?
What were you using before?
I've always just used Apple Mail on the Mac because I just haven't.
Oh, I thought you said this is the first one that you've used.
It's the first one I've liked.
Oh,
I've used it, but I've suffered with it because there just wasn't anything. Like I don't like Thunderbird on the Mac, and I just didn't want to use any other client. I kept on looking. I tried regularly. I'm using them more and more. I haven't used like the ability to create checklist things yet, so I'm interested to see how that might impact the way that I use either reminders or I have things on my systems. But I haven't really delved into that just yet.
I thought that there was like annotation features here, like this. I know I did on my iPad.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you activate them on the.
Anybody know?
Because I think you can use the trackpad as an annotation input, but I'm not sure how you activate it because I haven't played with it yet.
I don't even see the.
Well, hit the edit button. One over. There you go.
That's for a new note.
Is that new note? Oh, I thought that was the edit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you edit just by clicking on the note.
Let's see if I can figure it out. But Kev, one thing I do like that they changed, and it was a little bit controversial from some folks. They got rid of dashboard as a default. It's off by default. That's where, for folks who don't know, that's where they used to put widgets and everything. And a lot of people were really upset about that because like they used the calculator widget on there, and I used the calendar app just to see when dates were all the time. They've added a lot of widgets in the notifications center for the rights, or when you swipe from the right. And one of the things that they've added is that calculator is there. And so there's a lot of interesting new widgets that can be put into the notification center. It's really becoming useful, and I think dashboard you're going to see disappear in the next
Yeah,
iteration of the
I
family.
need to go into dashboard. It really scared me at first when it wasn't showing up because dashboard was the sticky notes is what I used back in the day before Evernote, and I still have a bunch of sticky notes in dashboard that I need to just copy that information out and put it in Evernote. So I was really scared at first when it was totally missing.
Okay, but it is there, but I think it is going away.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is probably the last time we'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
How about photos? We on a previous podcast we talked a lot about the new Photos app. So is there anything new just in this release that wasn't in Yosemite?
You're supposed to be able to use extensions for external editors now. I literally don't use Photos. I use Lightroom. So
Okay, Safari.
Safari is cool. I mean, it's really snappy. I have not had opportunity yet to do the mute tabs.
I have. Well, it's really nice.
Is it really good?
Nice. Yeah, that's so annoying.
When it is a pain in the neck, it is a pain in the neck. So
yeah, because the old method was to actually hit the mute button on your keyboard, and then you'd forget about that, and later you'd want to hear something and it wasn't on. You had to turn it on, rewind whatever you were looking at.
Right.
And so it's so nice to just do that because there's so many more of these videos. Not even the ads, but even like you go to a news site, they'll have a video at the top that automatically plays, which I wish they wouldn't do. Yeah.
And I am with you guys. I've always been kind of ambivalent towards ad blockers because they got to pay for the content somehow. Dude, I was on a Christian tech site yesterday. 4 huge ads popped up in front. And I'm just like, I don't look anytime that's big. They think, I don't know what it is with Americans thinking bigger is better all the time. Like anything that pops up and gets in my way, I'm just looking for the X. I never notice what the heck the ad is. So I have no idea what they're trying to sell me. Well, and all I was annoyed.
Today websites are the worst.
Ugh. So
Christianity Today websites are like what in the general? I mean, there's so much ads, so many pop-ups. They're all SEO driven. I've gotten where I almost quit. I don't bother looking at them.
Well, and Christianity Today will ask me to subscribe every time I go there, even though I already subscribe.
Yeah, and you're logged in.
And I'm logged in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really going to consider getting an ad blocker. It's getting.
I am too.
Bad because they need to generate money for this content somehow, but it's utterly and completely ridiculous.
Well, we're not going to go much further into this unless there's something that someone wants to mention about what's new in OS 10. It's a free upgrade. You get it by going into the App Store on the Mac. It really, in my opinion, it took this time fairly short to download. It wasn't that long, even though there were lots of people downloading. I heard people online talking about having trouble downloading.
It's a 6 gigabyte download, so if someone hasn't done it yet, they need to set aside.
Yeah, that's probably true. So
it was surprisingly fast.
I downloaded it for my wife's MacBook Air last night while she was asleep, so it'll be interesting if she calls me today saying, what's wrong with this? So we'll see. She may not. She probably won't notice.
All right. Anything else, guys?
No, I'm good with that. You want to talk Google? Let's go.
Yeah, this week Google announced a number of things, and as you see on screen right now is the new Nexus 6P phone. Who's excited about this?
The only thing I'm excited about from the Google announcement is the new Chromecast.
I have one coming today.
It's interesting that in their advertisement they're showing the back of the phones rather than the front. That's
most phones look the same on the front.
I guess so. I don't know.
What is it? Devices.google.com now, or
store.google.com?
Store.google.com. I know you can get it from the old Google Play Store. They have a Devices tab. Yeah, you're talking about the Chromecast. What's new about it other than this funky-looking shape?
Really the only thing new is just better specs and it's faster, so less buffering. And for the same $35 price.
Right. And then they also have a Chromecast audio. What is that?
Basically with that one, it allows you to plug this into your speaker. So if you've got some old speakers laying around, just plug that in and you can use that instead of trying to connect to a Bluetooth speaker.
It's like what Apple does with Airport Express.
Yeah.
So it's almost essentially just a
Well, it's a little bit
dongle
more than that.
that's
I mean,
designed to work with
it's
casting apps. You know, it's not like a Bluetooth dongle, but it works just like a
video,
Bluetooth
so
dongle,
you're
right?
actually
Yeah,
you're
pretty
running your
much.
stations from your mobile phone, and it's streamed Wi-Fi, either the phone or the Wi-Fi, whatever's the best.
I'm not hearing much of what you're saying, Antoine. Most of that broke up.
You're streaming stuff from your phone, and it either pulls it direct from the Wi-Fi, and you use your phone as a remote. Like they changed the technology a little bit so that the Chromecast itself is doing some of the processing now.
Okay.
So you're not just throwing it from your phone, which is nice because actually using one of the things I love my Chromecast. I use it all the time to send stuff from my iPad to the TV. But one of the things that's always been confusing is how the heck do I control this video? Because it's up on the screen, and if I'm in another app, I don't know how I go through. Now it's apparently you can use your Chromecast app as the remote, and so that seems to work. I haven't tried it yet, but it's supposed to work pretty good. And the Chromecast to me is awesome. I'm desperately waiting for someone to figure out a way that I don't have to cast like a tab from Chrome, and I don't have to just cast content from iOS. I would love just to be able to cast my whole screen and have it pre-format it to hit the my television screen, because the Chromecast, it just works so well.
Yeah, I wish this was true. Mirror any screen.
Yeah. You can
That's-
mirror content, but not any screen. Any screen.
Well, you can mirror any screen so long as it's attached to a Google operating system device.
Yeah.
I wish I could do it with my iPhone and my Microsoft Surface Pro and my Mac and.
Well, you should be able to do it from the Surface Pro.
As long as you have Chrome and the extension installed.
Yeah, as long as you have the Chrome extension installed.
Right, but that's not mirroring the screen. That's mirroring
a tab.
The browser.
No, you can actually mirror the whole screen. It's a beta function that you have to turn on.
Oh, really? I got to figure that out. I'll go try it.
Okay, I learned something new too.
Mm.
All right, dual band Wi-Fi. Well, that's cool. Let's see here.
You didn't like either of the phones?
They're just black slabs, like Antoine would like to say. There's really nothing revolutionary about them.
They're just nice black slabs.
Yeah. I mean, they really didn't innovate or do anything different with them.
They start at $500.
The fingerprint scanner is the innovative feature. That's the fingerprint scanner, and then the dual camera feature with are the two highlight features.
All right, so explain what's special about their fingerprint scanner.
It's not Apple's. They're actually using a slightly different patent for it, since Apple owns Theotek. But the speed and response is at 600 milliseconds, which is about the speed of last generation of Touch ID. So for the Samsung and LG devices that are
Okay, so it's just the fact that it has one.
Scanners. Not just
the
that
fact that it has
one,
one.
but
That's what's cool, right?
It has one, and it's natively supported, so it's not a hack. So your Note 5 is a hack.
All right, so what about the dual cameras?
So it now supports natively dual camera support. So they can actually run two cameras. This is going to be an LG device coming, was announced yesterday, that basically the two cameras look at two different angles and give you an almost 135-degree field of view, and that's natively supported with this version. It's built into those Nexus devices, even though it's not being used, because neither of those have the dual cameras in it, but the LG that's coming yesterday.
And it's got Type-C connection instead of that alone might be worth buying it. Not really, but
all that more cables to buy.
For the smaller one, the 5X is actually a decent upgrade from the Nexus 5 for those folks that want phone-sized devices, not phablet devices. They seem to have done a decent job improving the battery life. The idle function of Android M 6.0 is so good that a lot of folks it's really good. Folks are getting 18 hours of battery life on a regular basis.
Nice.
Does it have that dual camera?
No, that doesn't have it. LG. It's a LG V something that has that.
going back just real quick on the Apple stuff, I didn't even think about this. Remember last year the 6 and the 6 Plus had 2 different cameras. Is that the case in the 6S and 6S Plus on the iPhone?
Yeah, I still think, isn't it, Rick? The
Yeah,
6S, it's the 6S Plus that has the optical image stabilization and the.
Yeah, only the Plus has the OIS.
If you're buying it for the camera, get the Plus.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else on these phones?
Well, I think Antoine mentioned it. I don't want to gloss over it. The fact that your fingerprint scanner on the Note is a hack is really important. Android, up until this current release, did not have fingerprint recognition built into the operating system. And I guess, what did they announce? It was a couple weeks ago that they found out that like the fingerprint data was being kept on the device unencrypted.
It was about 2 months ago. And
Yeah.
It's
Like, what?
it's held on the device in plain text and in regular system RAM. So basically,
Your
it's on the
biometrics
door.
were like out there for anybody to find. It was like,
Pretty much.
But this new version, it's now built into the operating system, and that it's built in, so now it's encrypted on device. It's a lot more secure.
Yeah, the one thing I don't like about the fingerprint sensor is I don't know why they put it on the back.
Yeah, I don't get that.
It's like I get it for some things, but
Hold your phone. Pick up
Yes,
your phone
but-
and hold your phone.
well, I understand holding the phone, but at the same time, there are plenty of times where, especially when I'm at work, I unlock the phone using the button on the front because it's laying on my desk. So that means I have to actually pick up my phone and use the fingerprint sensor to unlock it.
Well, and I guess, and the other thing is we're so thinking about our thumb, and I guess you can do that with any finger in the back, but I don't get it with it being on the back, but that's okay, Antoine. If you like it, we'll listen to that. All right, talk to Pixel
In
C.
10,
It's not the-
in 10 years, every one of us will say it should be on the back, and that's why Antoine understands it.
Well, in 10 years, we won't have fingerprint scanners, but that's a whole different can of beans.
We may not have fingers for all we know. I don't know. All right, let's talk about the Pixel C. Anybody excited about this tablet?
You know,
It's just
Rick-
another tablet with a keyboard.
Rick pointed it out, and I went, it looks like an iPad 2. And he said, well, I think they're trying to compete with the Surface 3. And I'm like, not with that screen. And I didn't realize it was a 10.2-inch screen. So it is the size of a Surface 2.
My problem with the Pixel C is they're touting this as a productivity device, but Android is not built for productivity.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
the Android tablet with a keyboard attachment.
As an example of that, I've got in for review an Android desktop.
Okay.
And it's what's the name of it? I want to say TronSmart. Is that what it is? The TronSmart Orion, I think maybe.
Yeah. I mean, for like light productivity, because it's got the Microsoft Office stuff on there, but
Yeah, here it is. This is a 64-bit TV box, and you can use it for productivity. They really are using it as to hook up to your TV, an Android device to hook up to your TV. In fact, it even comes with a remote.
so it's like an Android dongle almost. Okay.
Yeah, but on that, the Pixel C, people, Chromebook fans have been saying, I want a Chromebook tablet for a long time. And so
Yeah.
I think what's going on here, I think just like the Chromebook Pixel, I think this is Google, number one, saying it can be done, and look, here we're doing something like this, only it's an Android, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they're also, this is for the Google people.
Yeah.
The people who work at Google, and they
If they
figured
had
since we're going to
Chrome
make it for
OS,
our folks, we're going to make it for everybody.
Yeah. If the Pixel C was running Chrome OS, I would buy it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it would be a great Chrome OS tablet, and maybe it will. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much in Android that people tout is really good for what geeks like. They like the inter-app processing stuff. Although I've always preferred iOS to that.
Big surprise.
Well, I've never found Android all that intuitive for it. That's the reason why. I think the hardware is good. It does look like an iPad 2. It really does. And I think the bevels are huge.
What's wrong with the iPad 2?
Oh, I think it's fine. It just looks dated. I think the hinge is kind of cool on the keyboard,
Are
but
these vents or speakers?
I think those are speakers.
Okay.
But it really, when you look at that, like put the picture up, the first picture.
This one?
That one. It looks like an iPad 2 on a Logitech keyboard. That's exactly what it looks like. It was just like, okay, well, 2,000.
One of those things you'll have to use it before you see it. My complaint about it is the price. If this was a $300 tablet, I think this would be a really nice offering. As a $500 tablet, I don't see anybody buying this. Except for people who are just fanatical Android and Google fans.
Well, Kevin, the Pixel is a Halo device. It's not meant to be priced for everybody. And
right.
There's already a Chrome OS tablet that's $300 by Asus or Acer, and so they couldn't come out with a Halo device that's the same price as the other Halo device. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, I see what you're saying, but there needs to be a low-end Google-created tablet so that it gets. Yeah, so that it gets the updates as quickly as other Nexus devices. The Nexus 9 is a disaster. I've owned one. It's just not a good tablet. They need to come out with something. In my opinion, I'm an Android fan. I like Android. I have an Android tablet. I would like to see a Google made or designed rather Android tablet that is on the lower end, because I don't want to spend a lot of money on an Android tablet. I recognize that the iPad is the standard, and therefore it deserves to be the price that it's at. Okay, but I also like Android, and so I'd like something on the low end. Yes, I know you're right. It's a Pixel, so therefore it's more expensive.
I don't know. I was looking at the build quality. I thought it was rather well priced.
It is rather well priced for the Pixel line of devices that Google is doing, but Google is not advertising trying to be low-cost alternative with the Pixel devices. They're trying to say,
I understand that.
Microsoft
I'm saying
is
they
with
need
the
another
Surface.
line.
No, Google doesn't need another line. People don't buy Google hardware; they buy Google accessibility.
Somebody out there needs to make a low-end tablet that will get Marshmallow the day it ships.
Good luck.
Asus already doesn't. Asus
That's
already
the problem, Wes. Good luck. You can't get it.
That's why it's still on iOS.
Yeah.
But, all right. So doesn't Asus already do that with the Transformer series?
No, you're going to be like a month or two late at the earliest.
Okay. Sorry?
Okay.
Nobody does this on the Android side except Google. And in fact, lately Google's Nexus lines haven't even gotten it. The older ones haven't even gotten it the day it ships. Google's got to fix this problem.
Lollipop.
What's that?
On my Nexus 7. I waited 2 months to get Lollipop.
Yeah, Google's got to fix this problem. This is a big problem for them, and it's making those of us who are even Android fans more and more frustrated. So, all right. So we've talked enough about that, and we're actually way over time now. This is the longest one we've ever done, I think, as far as podcasts go. Is there anything else that jumps out at you in these new devices from Google?
No, if Google wants to send me a Pixel C to review test, I'll be happily accept. So just put that out there.
Yeah, they're not sending out very many of these, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see since Marshmallow is coming out on Monday, how long it takes for all the carriers and other manufacturers to get it going out to all the other devices.
It takes 3 months to do carrier testing, LaRosa.
If that'd be nice if they did it in 3 months and then actually shipped it in 3 months. This is a T-Mobile Samsung Galaxy Note 5, and if it ever gets Marshmallow before I upgrade, I'll eat it.
I mean, just because it goes through testing doesn't mean it passes whatever the carriers want. I mean, that's just the nature of the business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the biggest fans of Google don't understand the carrier side of the business, and so when we complain about not getting Android updates fast enough, when we're arguing at Google, but it's the carriers and their testing methodologies, we're barking up the wrong tree. It's just the same way we did with carriers and pricing. We start barking at the carriers, and look what happens. Stuff changed. You got to do the same thing when it comes to updates.
It can be done.
Yeah.
Day one.
You just got to bark at the right person.
It can be done.
Well, and Windows Phone got around it too, because you just download the developer kit on your Windows Phone and you can update it as well. So I mean, there's ways to get around stuff like that, but.
And I'll be the first to admit that if this is the worst problem I'm facing this week, then life is pretty daggone good. Right? Life is awesome if this is the worst thing that anyone is ever dealing with.
Absolutely.
Nah, Kevin, the worst thing you'll deal with this week is that all of your devices will fail except for your Apple devices.
Look, the worst thing that I will deal with this week has absolutely nothing to do with technology whatsoever.
Amen.
All of my tech is so far down the list when it comes to the worst things that I've dealt with this week. That anyway, so God bless you all, and we love you. Thanks for watching. We're going to jump off quick here. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're still with us, and that way you can get these when they go live on YouTube, or subscribe to us here on the. If you follow me on Google+, that's the way to definitely find out when we'll be doing Theotek. But most of the time we're live every Friday morning at 9 a.m. That's Eastern Time. And you can go to kevinpurcell.org or theotek.com to get the links to find how to subscribe to audio versions. And we would love for you to do that. It's on iTunes and almost every podcast app since we go through Stitcher Radio as well. Thanks for watching, guys. We really appreciate you doing that, or ladies. Appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you, guys, for making this program what it is. I appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
All right.
See you later.